The notion that the immigrants are a cause of the problems we face is stone cold ridiculous. It may be a clever scapegoating, it may work to get you votes, but it has nothing to do with reality.
Hello folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Awakened Africa and I'm your host, Bemo. So there's been this whole conversation about the mass deportation in the United States of America. And I think by now, most of you have been asking yourselves this question: what are going to be the repercussions of the mass deportation in the USA, especially the economic repercussions? And I think Trump's deportation plans could severely harm the economy and causing billions and causing inflation. And when Trump was coming into office, he said that he was going to deal with inflation, but according to me, undocumented immigrants are vital to some of the industries that which I can say are a backbone of the USA economy, especially agriculture and restaurants, and their removal will lead to labor shortage as well as increased prices. The notion that they cause economic problems is unfounded, and the repercussions could lead to social upheavals. I bumped into a video whereby Professor Richard Wolff, an American economist, a Marxian economist, who was trying to break this matter and to make more people understand about the consequences of the President Donald Trump calling for the mass deportation of illegal immigrants. And I don't want to take much of your time. Let us dive into the video. Let us watch the video, and then I'll come back with my own opinion, as I leave you to come up with your own opinion in the comment section. But I'll ask you, if you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, do this: like, share, and comment this video, because that will mean my content will go more viral and we're going to have this conversation at a greater depth. Let us watch the video.
Also say, and maybe I'm wrong here, I hope not, for better or worse, and often it's worse, but sometimes it's better, America is a very religious place. And all of the major religions here, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they all say that what Allah or God or whatever it is you believe in wants you to do is to welcome the refugee, to open your arms, to open your heart, to give him a meal, to do all the things that the Bible and other holy books tell us to do. I think you're going to see, maybe sooner than you imagine, an immense reaction in this country, which will be driven by a well-deserved guilt on the part of this population for what they are doing. And, I feel that as strongly as I feel the guilt that will descend on the Jewish people for what has happened in Gaza. But putting that aside, here's the economics that you've asked about. The Department of Homeland Security says there's somewhere between 10 and 12 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. So as an economist, let me make one thing clear. We are a rich country of 330 million people. The economic problems we have, which are severe, could not ever have been caused by 10 to 12 of the poorest people on the planet. The notion that the immigrants are a cause of the problems we face is stone cold ridiculous. It may be a clever scapegoating, it may work to get you votes, but it has nothing to do with reality. Number two, there are certain industries that concentrate undocumented immigrants. Agriculture is a big one. The restaurant business is a big one. Yes. Construction is another big one. And then there's a whole host of other industries, but those are the big ones. In those industries, undocumented immigrants are a major part of the labor force. Not only that, they are a more important cause of the profitability in those industries than their mere numbers would tell you. Why? Because an undocumented immigrant can be and is regularly abused by the employer. Yes. For the obvious reason, which if you have any contact with these folks, they'll tell you 10 different stories. I've heard them all. It's Friday afternoon. Everybody's going to pick up their check at the front office before they go home. Jose arrives. He stands in line, waits for his check. The boss says, Jose, we've had a terrible week. We didn't make the money. I can't pay you this week. But if you come back next week, I can be sure to pay you. What is Jose going to do? Answer, nothing. He dare not go to any government office, right? Because he's an undocumented. He can't show a paper. He can't show a residence allowance, nothing. He's terrified of going anywhere near the labor office. There's nothing he can do. And the employer knows it. The employers look for these people because of this. And I'm not going to take your time and mine to talk about the abuse, sexual and other, that this situation invites in all the ways you don't need me to tell you about. Okay, now let's imagine you deport them. First of all, that costs billions, because you're talking about 10 to 12 million people. You have to house them, you have to move them, you have to feed them in the process, you have to deal with the umpteen million lawsuits that will immediately crop up around all of this. This is going to take time and is going to cost personnel and it's going to be an immense expense. But that's the least of it. Here comes the big one. Every one of those industries is a crucial player in the inflation level of the United States. Who's going to pick the lettuce? Who's going to pick the fruit? Who's going to do all that work? Who's going to clean the dishes in the back of the restaurant? Who's going to clean up at the end, the evening when the patrons of the restaurant go home? Well, the answer is you either close the restaurant, and that has economic consequences, or you close the farms, and that's really not an option, or you're going to have to hire Americans. And Americans won't be afraid to go to the labor office if you don't pay them. So you're going to actually have to pay them. And you're probably going to have to pay them a good bit more than the immigrant for all the reasons you normally pay immigrants less than native workers, which means the cost structure of these industries is going to take off. And you know what they're all going to do, those employers? They're going to raise their prices. They're going to want to do that to recapture the extra costs that will come. And the government has not proposed anything that will substitute here. I've heard one professor tell me, oh, we don't have to worry, AI will take care of this. You know what AI does? It makes people like you and me superfluous. But are we ready to go and wash dishes at the back of the restaurant? Are we ready to pick apples? Really? You're gonna cause social upheaval. You're gonna cause inflation. Mr. Trump can't do that. Inflation is half of why he got elected.
True.
How can he turn around and then be the person who has to go on TV and try to explain why he promised to deal with inflation, only it's gotten worse? And he won't be able to tell the truth. It's because I'm deporting everybody, because then the argument will be as clear as day for people. So you're going to have to watch now as the various cabinet secretaries, bizarre though they are, have to undo what it was he's promised.
Hello, good people. Welcome back to the channel. So this is my take. America is such a huge country with over 330 million people. So when you tell me that the economic problems in America are caused by 11 to 14 million people, undocumented immigrants, then that's a lie. And I can say that the growing sense of guilt within the American population regarding to these immigration policies may lead to a significant reaction pushing for more inhuman treatment of these immigrants. And I want to say this, allow me to say this. The economic challenges, as I've said earlier, cannot be attributed to a few undocumented illegal immigrants. And I can say this, uh, most of the industries in the America's economy, the restaurant, agriculture, construction, this is where most of these immigrants work. So if you're going to drive out all these immigrants from your country, then it means that in these sectors, a lot is going to happen. All right, because there are some instances whereby you see some of these immigrants being paid peanuts, underpaid, and sometimes they're not even paid, but they cannot go to the local authorities to report. Why? Because they are not documented. You cannot go to a local authority to complain about your wage while you're not documented, while you're not a registered citizen. You're not a registered citizen. So deportation of millions will result in immense logistics challenges and expenses, including housing, feeding, and of course legal battle. So, in my own opinion, I can say that the scapegoating of immigrants serves as a political tool, often used to garner votes. However, this tactic may distract from the real economic issues facing the country. And as I've said earlier, employers often tend to exploit these undocumented immigrants. They work for them, they underpay them, or they just pay them peanuts, but they have no place to go and complain. And I allow me to say this, that the deportation the deportation of millions will cause a very huge impact on America economically, because of course we must be aware that Americans or American citizens will not allow to be underpaid. If you underpay them, they'll go to report to the local authorities. If you don't pay them, they'll go to report to the local authorities, which means that the Native Americans, the American citizens, if they ask for more pay compared to the immigrants, it means that some of these food prices are going to shoot. They're going to rise. If it is in the construction industry, whereby these companies are erecting rentals, the monthly rent, of course, is going to rise. So, which in turn leads to more inflation. So, most of these industries in America rely on undocumented workers. So I think it's high time for the American government to rethink their decision of deporting illegal immigrants. If there is a way they can just see how they can document them, or they can register them to become American citizens, then well and good. But if you tell me that a country which has a population of over 330 million people, but the problems are being caused by 11 to 14 million people, then that's a huge lie. I don't want to talk much about this, but let us have a conversation in the comment sections. If you're new to this channel, most definitely I'll ask you to subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, then like and share this content. Thank you. This is Awaken Africa, and I'm your host, Memo. Peace out.